Just like when you go to the hospital for hemorrhoids and they give you instructions on how to not get hemorrhoids again, when you go to the hospital for having a baby, they should send you home with instructions on how to not get pregnant again. Because it's like a disease that you were just treated for that you want to avoid getting again, right? There's Evelyn, now growing teeth and eating baby food. She's wearing her expensive onesie from Pat Pat. Don't worry, people, my mother did stop payment on her credit card and get a full refund for the clothing that we ordered from Pat Pat. The onesie that Evelyn is wearing right now is one of the few things that was good that came from my mother's order from patpat.com.
She got a little bit of banana on it.
So today's video is going to be a review of numerous different companies and professionals that scammed us out of a lot of money over the course of the last year, and a little bit about why Evelyn is lucky to be alive and why I am also lucky to be alive. I am in our RV, where a lot of our stuff is still currently being stored. There's the tile that our friend helped us move in here a few days ago. And in this box are some of my medical records, including the paperwork given to me when I was discharged from the hospital. And that's mainly what I'm going to talk about today in this video. Although I may touch on a few other topics as well, but I am warning you, this video will contain me saying obscene words that I don't normally say, because I am very, very upset. Much more upset than I normally ever am on camera. When I recently had a baby, Evelyn, at Mad River Hospital, as I was leaving the hospital, somebody gave me a piece of paper that they probably shouldn't have given me. The piece of paper is in this box, and I will show it to you in a little while, and I will show you what is on the piece of paper that upset me and explain to you why they shouldn't have given it to me. But before I do that, I would like to really quickly mention a few other things and show you a few other things. If you haven't read my paragraph-long rants on Facebook, you may not know already that I am extremely, extremely upset with Dr. Nicely's office, which is called With Open Arms, and a midwife named Tessa Stone. And I'm sorry to say this because I'd like to avoid the Admiralty law terminology as much as possible, but she is the person who delivered my baby, Evelyn. But before I say anything more about that, really quickly I would like to talk about some other companies that have screwed me over and scammed me out of money, and other professionals that have screwed me over and scammed me out of money over the course of the last year, and what I'm doing about it on Facebook. Every morning for the last few months, I have woken up in the morning and harassed Airbnb on Facebook. I'm trying to get my money back for some of our stays, some which you may have seen in my YouTube videos. I have contacted Airbnb over 100 times, not only on the phone and on their own system, but also on Facebook, and I have managed to get responses back from people who claim to be working for Airbnb customer service who are not able to or not allowed to actually have a coherent conversation with me. They're either sending me what looks like copied and pasted, already written responses, or writing complete and total gibberish. And no, they haven't given me any of my money back for any of my stays. They also took away my bad reviews, including the one that mentioned mold in the house in Sacramento. So that host only has 5-star reviews, and now she's a super host. I'm also currently trying to harass the plumber who destroyed my bathroom and did not do the work I hired him to do. I tried to get in touch with him through text and through Facebook. Unlike Airbnb, he has not responded at all. And then there's this really long list of all kinds of other companies that I'm either trying to get my money back from or trying to get to replace broken stuff that they sent us. And there's a bunch of doctor's offices that are sending me huge bills that I am not going to pay. And in fact, I'm very likely going to have to sue them. And on that note, I would like to talk about With Open Arms and Mad River Hospital. Before I show you the piece of paperwork in this box that they should not have given me when they discharged me from the hospital, I'm going to show you some of my medical records that I recently got from Dr. Nicely's office. And if you are Dr. Nicely or Tessa Stone or one of the numerous other employees at Dr. Nicely's office, if you think I'm jeering you in this video, I am. I have every right to be absolutely infuriated with what you did to me, and I have a right to jeer you and also to crack jokes. With that said, I am now going to show you some things in my medical records from Dr. Nicely's office, which was called With Open Arms. Here is some of my paperwork all laid out for you to see, with some of the private parts creatively covered up. I would like to point out a few things in this paperwork, including my twice mentioned history of an irregular heartbeat and seizures as a child, and previous ovarian cysts and infertility, and a previous reaction to anesthesia. And over here on this piece of paperwork, you can see that an ultrasound was ordered, and then I was reassured that my baby's weight was fine, and then I also mentioned that I would like to be treated respectfully after giving birth at Mad River Hospital, which is MRCH, Mad River Community Hospital. And here is another piece of paperwork for you to look at. This is an ultrasound that said that Evelyn's weight was low but normal in the 12th percentile, and she would be 5 pounds. Of course, the medical professionals who ordered this test, Dr. Nicely and TS, Tessa Stone, definitely knew that this test had a margin of error of 1 pound, so her weight could have been between 4 and 6 pounds, actually, which could possibly make her below normal weight, below the 0th percentile. I will talk about that more in a later video. Right now I would like to get back to talking about what it says right here, that I would like to be treated respectfully after giving birth at Mad River Hospital. So do you think that that happened? Do you think that the nice people at Dr. Nicely's office made sure that I got treated respectfully when I went to have my baby at Mad River Hospital? Oh, hell no. In fact, I believe they might have gone out of their way to make sure I was treated disrespectfully. And without going into a very long story right now or going into great detail, Evelyn ended up being underweight. The birth ended up being rushed. My vagina ended up being injured. At one point, Tessa Stone proclaimed that my vagina looked beautiful and there were no tears. There ended up being a major tear that ended up leaving my vagina permanently injured. I later found out that I was lucky to be alive, and Evelyn was also lucky to be alive because she had something called marginal insertion of the umbilical cord into the placenta, which means that the umbilical cord was close to the edge of the placenta, away from all the major arteries, so she wasn't getting enough blood, which caused her to be underweight. I would like to mention it's not Dr. Nicely's fault for diagnosing the placenta thing, because the test result actually said the placenta was fine. It's actually the fault of the people who did the ultrasound for missing that. But it is their fault for not investigating whether there was a cause of her possibly being underweight. The one thing I didn't show you in my medical records from Dr. Nicely's office, because they actually didn't give me that part of my medical records, is that I had told them I have celiac disease, and if you have celiac disease and you eat gluten, you can get a nutritional deficiency that can cause your baby to be severely underweight if you're pregnant at the time. So knowing that I have celiac disease and knowing that the baby's weight could have possibly been below the stated weight in the test results for the special ultrasound, they should have at least done a IGF antibody test to make sure that she wasn't underweight because of some kind of reaction I was having to gluten I might have eaten during our travels. So that was one thing they should have investigated. Anyway, when I was having the baby at the hospital, there were a lot of horrible, disturbing things that happened. I already mentioned what happened to my vagina. I didn't mention numerous other horrible things that happened, including them continuously bringing me food and medications with ingredients I'm allergic to, which they definitely know about. I will show you evidence of such in a moment. After I had Evelyn, the blood was all over the floor of the delivery room, and nobody ever came in to clean it up, and I ended up having to mop it up myself with a towel that happened to be in there already laying on the floor. This was after numerous nurses and other hospital staff walked through the blood and tracked it everywhere all around the hospital, which I think was very, very disgusting. We also ended up with a mysterious, disgusting infection of pinworms after this hospital experience that my entire family had to take medication for, which also happened a few years ago when I had Eugene at Mad River Hospital. Coincidentally, we had the same night nurse who was rude, had a dirty look on her face, and was scratching her ass. Sorry, people. I did say I was going to be obscene in this video, and no, I am literally not kidding you. I think that nurse is like infecting everyone with pinworms in the maternity ward. There's that Admiral Law vocabulary again, slipping into this rant unintentionally. And then, of course, after I had told them not to hand me Evelyn immediately after giving birth, yet again, more of this Admiral Law terminology is unintentionally slipping into my rant. I waited until after I had delivered the placenta, and then they handed her to me. Then I tried to breastfeed her, and she couldn't breastfeed because she had the same tongue tie that Eugene had had. Then I asked for a pump so I could pump her some breast milk. And a few days later, some people from Child Services interrogated me at Mad River Hospital, and they said that somebody from Dr. Nicely's office and somebody else who worked at the hospital were concerned because I didn't want to hold Evelyn or feed Evelyn right after the birth, and they were concerned that if she went home with me, no one was going to hold the baby, and no one was going to feed the baby, and no one was going to love the baby. And of course I have this recorded and we'll be putting it on YouTube. So at that point they had injured my body, risked my life and her life because of the placenta condition. She could have been stillborn and I could have bled to death. they should have scheduled a C-section and not put me at risk for almost having to have an emergency C-section because of those things in my medical records about having an irregular heartbeat and previously having reactions to anesthesia that put me at higher risk for complications during a rushed emergency procedure. And they had already added insult to injury by having the nasty people from child services interrogate people and numerous rude hospital staff members yell at me, including the lady who licked her finger and then touched my paperwork and then berated me while I was recording a video of myself talking about my experience, telling me why she had to spit on her finger before she touched my paperwork and why I was in the wrong for being upset about it. And then, as I was leaving the hospital, they gave me a piece of paperwork that should be offensive to any woman, but it's especially offensive to me because of the mentioning of infertility in my medical records. So what did they give to me that I'm so offended by? Well, I'm going to show you right now. But before I show you what they gave to me when I was leaving the hospital after having a baby, I would like to show you a few of my other medical records, because I actually got a really bad hemorrhoid after having the baby, and I actually went to the hospital for treatment for a hemorrhoid. So it was the same hospital, Mad River Hospital, and they gave me this piece of paperwork that told me basically how to heal my hemorrhoid and how to not get a hemorrhoid again. Here it is. It says, you have been diagnosed with hemorrhoids. See that? Hemorrhoids. Right there it says hemorrhoids. It actually turned out to be something worse than hemorrhoids, but at that point they told me I had hemorrhoids, and then they gave me instructions for how to cure them and how to not get them again. And here's an example of that right here. It says, increase the fiber in your diet, which will help prevent getting hemorrhoids again. Anyway, now that you've seen what they told me to do after going to the hospital for hemorrhoids, I would like to show you what they told me to do after going to the hospital for pregnancy. Here it is, right here. It says all of these things that I should do or shouldn't do after having a baby. And one of the categories is sexual activity. And it says, enact birth control prior to having sex. Breastfeeding is not birth control. You can get pregnant soon after delivery. And then on this other piece of paperwork here, it goes into more detail. It says I can resume sexual intercourse about 4 weeks after the birth of my baby. Of course, I couldn't do that because of the horrible tear in my vagina that never healed, leaving a permanent painful scar. But I will talk about that more in another video. And then it also says you will need to use some form of birth control. Breastfeeding is only a form of birth control under very special circumstances. Talk to your doctor or midwife about when you can safely have intercourse and what kinds of birth control are available to you. Because just like when you go to the hospital for hemorrhoids and they give you instructions on how to not get hemorrhoids again, when you go to the hospital for having a baby, they should send you home with instructions on how to not get pregnant again. Because it's like a disease that you were just treated for that you want to avoid getting again, right? And that is why there is currently a push to bully women into using long-acting birth control right after childbirth. Which is like basically part of the global depopulation agenda. Anyway, people, they should not give you a piece of paper when you leave the hospital after having a baby with instructions on how not to get pregnant again. Especially not if something in your medical records says that you have infertility. Do you realize how insulting that could be to certain women? Like, some women would like break down crying after reading that if they've been like struggling for years to have a baby, or if they've suffered through a miscarriage, for example. That's rude, that's insulting, and both Mad River Hospital and Dr. Nicely's office should have both made sure that I did not get given something so damn insulting after having my baby, especially after specifically requesting that I wanted them to make sure that I got treated respectfully. That was like my primary concern, making sure I got treated respectfully. I didn't want to have my baby at Mad River Hospital. I was basically trapped into having my baby there because of the situation with my house. I did not have the money to do what I originally intended to do, which was to go stay somewhere else in another part of California next to a hospital with a much better track record than Mad River. I had looked up which hospital in California had the lowest rate of C-sections and the lowest rate of women dying after birth and the lowest rate of all kinds of serious complications. I had looked at Airbnbs and hotels and other places we could stay, and my original plan was to go stay in that area and have my baby there where it was safe. You people failed to keep me safe. You allowed me to get injured, and then you added insult to injury in numerous different ways, including having nasty people interrogate me and accuse me of being some kind of psychopath who wasn't going to love and feed my baby, and then sending me home with some kind of instructions insinuating that I should try to not have more babies. I have every right to be angry at you people. That was an inappropriate way to treat me, and an inappropriate way to treat any other woman. My name is being screamed, so I'm going to end this video now. But before I end this video, I would like to encourage you to open up your box where you keep your medical paperwork and find the evidence that the doctors did something horrible to you and put it on the internet for the world to see, as I'm doing. Because doctors' offices and hospitals should not be able to get away with doing the kind of things that they did to me or any other people. And this is why I am putting my private information on the internet, and I will also be putting actual videos of my private parts actually getting torn open, and this woman actually proclaiming that it did not happen right after it just did, and everything that happened after that, including my visits to the emergency room because of the painful gaping wound in my vagina. And I will be sharing these videos not only on Facebook, but specifically on the Facebook pages for the doctors' offices and hospitals that did these things to me. I will also be sharing this video with Airbnb because I ranted about them in this video, so they can hear not only how angry I am that they didn't give me my money back, but also how angry I am that some doctor messed up my vagina. It may be embarrassing, and it is, but if me putting something embarrassing on the internet can help prevent it from happening to somebody else, that's great. There is my private paperwork, and as I said that I would point out earlier, they definitely knew about all of my allergies. As you can see, right there, it says everything, including medications and foods. So, now that you have seen that, I can now say, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video, share this video, watch my other videos, and subscribe to my channel. Bye, people.